Okay, madam.
Ma'am, you can start.
In 1 minute, it will start.
You can start.
Yeah.
Namaste, participants. Today we are live here because we would like to celebrate an International Teachers' Day. In India, we have been celebrating from many decades, but in the international forum, this is quite new. It's only in the 90s that it started. Yesterday was the day, that is 5th October, exactly a month after our own Teachers' Day, that is 5th September. This year, we had a wonderful slogan. The theme for this year, 2020, was leading in crisis. Very important, because all of us in the whole world are going through a crisis. So who can be a leader in a crisis? It's only the teacher, because the teacher's role is very big. Unless as teachers, we are role models, we cannot lead anybody. You might have heard just now, Rajshekar Garu greeted us by saying, happy morning. Happiness is something which all of us are looking for, but we can never find it. That is the problem. So we have to find happiness inside. Who can teach us the secret? Only a teacher. So if there's a crisis, we need to lead everybody, the entire society, towards this happiness. Similarly, I greeted by saying namaste. Now, what does namaste mean? Namaste shows respect, that I'm making salutations to the person who's in front of me. Not because you are young or you're old or you're important or you're unimportant. We are saluting everybody. That is our Indian culture. So we have to remember this. Leading in crisis would mean that each teacher should find out what is required in order to get over the COVID virus and future problems like this. When the world has problems, we have to know how to solve those problems. That is what the role of a teacher is. Now, also, we have to remember another thing, and that is reimagining the future. This is the theme, this is the motto of this year. So all teachers who are here today, or all students who might become future teachers, all people who are either learners or teachers, because if you're a father or a mother, you're teaching your children. If you're a younger brother, elder brother or elder sister, you're teaching your brothers and sisters. So everybody is a teacher. The manager in the office is a teacher. The person who sweeps the room, the peon, is also a teacher, because from the peon, we can learn so many values. So for Teachers' Day, it is not only professionals like, I'm a teacher, therefore I'm a retired teacher, that too, not a teacher now, because I have retired from university about 3 years back. So I still continue to learn. I still continue to teach. So what we should do? We should re-image the future. So how's the future going to be after this huge crisis which we have faced? Remember that this is not new. Pandemics have come to the world from ancient times. It is said that in India, they never used to come, because beyond the Sindhu is the Indus River, as we call it today. Beyond the Sindhu, no germ would come. That is a saying in pandemic literature in the ancient times. But today, we have globalization. So we are suffering from the crisis. The whole world is suffering from the crisis. The teacher's role becomes very important. Now, the organizers are very keen that we should talk about teaching for excellence. So if you are teachers who are listening to this, if you are students who plan to become future teachers, if you are good citizens of the country working in different fields, or if you are a youngster looking forward to a future career, remember that all these points are covered here because a teacher need not be an external person. A teacher can be ourselves. You might have heard Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's name, the great sage, the great saint of India. He used to say, your mind is your best teacher. You don't look for teachers outside. Train your own mind. Your mind will become your best teacher. So if you want self-improvement, then you have to be your own teacher. Otherwise, you can also learn from your teachers, or if you are a teacher, you have to change your abilities in order to become a better teacher. So I suggested this morning that I would like to speak about teaching for excellence. Now, what does teaching for excellence mean? That the way you teach should be such that your students become excellent in every field, not only in your subject. Suppose you teach science, suppose you teach literature, suppose you teach, something like, psychology or philosophy or political science. That is only a subject. But a person who's doing political science and becoming an administrator should be a good human being. A person who's doing psychology and becoming a counselor should be a good human being. So your students, whatever they become, if they become computer engineers, if they become engineers for building bridges, if they become doctors, if they become teachers themselves, all of them should have the ability to be excellent human beings. This is what good teaching means. Not only teaching your subject and learning your subject and getting full marks. Those full marks will help you to use it in future, and you will be able to become a better human being if you have a good teacher or if you are your own teacher. So now let me tell you, this was my introduction. Why teaching is important. Why you have to teach yourself for self-improvement. Learn from your teachers, not only subjects, but also values. So we have to change two things. Now you must remember that I'm talking about two things which we need to do for excellence. Teaching for excellence. So one is that we need to change our attitude. Our attitude is our thoughts, our responses, how you think. Look at all the crisis which is happening today. If you open your television, you will see all crises projected negatively. So what does it say? The theme says, leading in crisis, to be a leader in crisis. So when there is a crisis, when there is an emergency, when there is a problem, it is not only a negative point, but it is also a point for an opportunity. It is not a terrible thing. It is also an opportunity. Look at the crisis of the pandemic, coronavirus or COVID-19. Hasn't it brought all of us closer? I might not meet any of you anytime in my life, but today, because the pandemic, I'm sitting at home, I'm talking to all of you, I'm able to share my ideas with each one of you who is here today, who will see the program as the organizers are putting it on YouTube, etc., who might see for many years, they might see, and they might get their own ideas. Don't believe that whatever I tell you is the ultimate. You have to first think about it. You have to do critical thinking and choose whatever is good for you. So point number one, out of the 2 points I mentioned, point number one is attitude. Check your mind. The mind is usually full of a lot of negatives. So clean your mind nicely. Give your mind good exercise, good food, good thoughts. This is what is mental food. For mental food, we don't have to eat idlis and dosas. We have to talk about mental food as good thoughts. So our attitude becomes good. So if there's a crisis, then we have to look at the positive aspect, how to make the crisis better. There is constant problem where women are treated violently. Presently, it is going on. It is not as though it is not a problem. We find it all the time. So what are we saying? We are all the time saying that, let us use violence, let us kill, let us destroy. Have you ever seen anybody saying that if a young boy is brought up to respect women by the mother is the first teacher. So if the mother gives good teaching to this young child, to the boy and the girl, then don't you think the boy will grow up not to be violent, not to insult women, not to treat them badly? So the crisis is there. Today there is a crisis. And the solution to the crisis is everybody goes and says, instigate the family, instigate everybody, and so on. This one should resign, that one should do like this. Nobody gives a positive solution that people who are close to us should give us the right values. Right from birth, if the parents become teachers of their children, 1-year-old child, 6 months old child, give them right discipline, right positivity, right attitudes, not ill treat them, not spoil their lives by beating or scolding them, then we will find a better society. So that is point number one. Change of attitude. We have to bring in a change at the attitudinal level. Legally, we can do many things, but attitude is most important. Therefore, what we need to do now is go to the second point, and that is behavior. Behavior is words, actions, everything is called behavior. The how we act, what we do, that is behavior. So when we have proper attitudes, when we have right values, when we have good ethics, our behavior should reflect that. All the time talking bad things about people who are not there, we find everywhere. If you watch anything, if you watch a movie or a serial, you will find that everybody is saying bad things about everybody else. Nowhere we find positive values. This media has a powerful impact on all of us. If you look at the movies of 50 years back, you will find some nationalism, some good values, some discipline, some ability to manage within a small amount of money is all there in the behavior of the actors of those days. Today, what we find? Today, we find every parent telling the child, come first in the class. If you don't come first, you are useless. Earn maximum money. I read a story that, the old parents were staying alone in India. The son was in the US. When the mother died, the son refused to come. He said, no, I cannot get leave. I cannot come. The father said, you're the only son. In India, you have to do many, rituals. He said, say, when I was studying, you told me come first. When I started looking for a job, you said, get the best job. You sent me, by forcing me, you sent me to the US saying you earn well. Now I'm earning a lot, but I have lost all my family, my country, everything. I'm settled here. I cannot come. When mother dies or you die, please manage on your own. I cannot come. So look at how the values which the parents teach in childhood governs the children when they grow up. Can you imagine that a son is saying that I cannot come? Because that is the value the son has been taught by the teacher who's the parent actually. And the same thing teachers in schools and colleges do. You know, many teachers say a student who gets high marks is my favorite. A student who fails in the exam is not my favorite. Therefore, we cannot do that. We must remember that our ability to train a person in their behavior depends on our behavior. If I talk to you respectfully, if I talk to you nicely, then you will obviously reply to me nicely. This morning, I was very upset. I showed my displeasure in words. You know, Rajshekhar Garu did not say anything except, sorry, madam. Then he sent a message also.